A big opportunity to turn their season around this Saturday if you're Arkansas. The Razorbacks are coming off of a bye and will get to resume play against number 12 Tennessee. Bobby Petrino leading the way as the interim head coach for an Arkansas program in search of their first SEC win this season. When it comes to Arkansas head coaches in program history, and we mentioned Bobby Petrino, you will continue to see Bobby Petrino because the most wins in a season, 11. Is what he turned out back in 2011. Lou Holtz also did that in 1977, and Frank Broyles with 11 wins also in 1964. So we use Bobby Petrino in his second act with the Razorbacks as our jumping off point to continue the conversation as we get set for this Saturday. And we're now pleased to welcome in Trey Biddy, who covers Arkansas for 24/7 Sports, and Patrick Brown, also with 24/7 Sports, covering Tennessee. Trey, I want to start with you and the entire Bobby Petrino situation. His second go round, do you think he can coach himself into becoming the full-time head coach?
Well, there's a lot of support for it, I think, around the state. And a lot of people want some fresh blood in there as well. So he's got a big opportunity ahead of him. It's crazy how things have gone for him, disappearing basically in 2011 after having the number 5 ranked team in the country in the final AP poll, all the way back to offensive coordinator. Never thought I would have saw what has transpired, but he's shaking some things up, fired 3 defensive coaches, has added some people from NFL backgrounds, and changes the way he does things at practice. It's all like rushes back to me. It doesn't seem that long ago when Bobby Petrino was walking the sidelines, and it's very intriguing considering the situation that Arkansas is in, having started off 2-3, a couple of tough road losses, getting your doors blown off, and then to have sort of a revival because it's Bobby Petrino back.
Yeah, Tennessee, it's been interesting, Trey, to hear Josh Heupel talk, even going back to last week during Tennessee's open day, of just the preparation for this game, how much it's changed because of those defensive staff changes that you mentioned. Tennessee is expecting anything and everything from Arkansas. They actually, talking to some players and coaches this week, the Vols expect to see pretty much the same defense that gave them trouble last season in the upset in Fayetteville, where Arkansas played three defensive linemen, 3 safeties, and held Tennessee to 14 points in that game. But Joey Halsey said this week, the offensive coordinator, that it's like kind of preparing for a first game, having to go back into so many different backgrounds of some of those coaches you mentioned. So Tennessee is expecting the Arkansas that pushed Ole Miss and pushed Memphis in this game, and not the one that laid down against Notre Dame, as Tennessee prepares for sort of the unknowns of the Razorbacks and some staff upheaval after firing Sam Pittman.
Yeah, Patrick, you bring up the Tennessee defense, and they really haven't given anyone trouble. The Arkansas defense has not given anyone trouble this year because the Tennessee offense has given everyone trouble, averaging 51 points per game this season, which leads FBS. So you have a matchup here of literally the best offense in the country and for sure the worst defense in the SEC in Arkansas. And Patrick, how do you think this one ends up playing out?
Well, Tennessee needs to pick up where they left off in September. They're averaging over 50 points a game so far this season. Joey Aguilar and his 3 receivers, Chris Brazzell, Mike Matthews, and Braylon Staley, have ripped off a lot of big plays. Tennessee has thrown for over 700 yards in its 2 SEC games. You go back to that Mississippi State game before the open date, and Tennessee probably played maybe a C-plus game. Still put up 41 points in overtime. That was an overtime game, should be mentioned, but almost 470 yards, and that was with 3 turnovers. They had a drop touchdown pass that would have been a big play. They had a touchdown pass called back on an offensive pass interference call that was a little sketchy, and 3 turnovers. They had to settle for some field goals. So they're clicking at a high rate right now. But Tennessee really needs to get its run game going. They've only had 125 yards against Georgia, 131 yards against Mississippi State. So that's sort of how, the straw that stirs the drink for this Tennessee offense. And as well as Aguilar and the wide receivers are playing, Tennessee needs to get its run game going as it gets into the meat of the SEC schedule. And it's great when you're throwing for that many yards, but you also need to be able to run the football a little bit better than Tennessee has. So I think that'll be an emphasis for them in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting to me what Bobby Petrino has said about the Arkansas defense and the struggles that they've had. And a lot of it's effort. You can talk about talent and technique and scheme and all that kind of stuff, but Arkansas loafs on defense. That's one reason that there's so many people just wide open and running free. It's because they're not hustling to the football. There's too much of like, oh, he's got it. I don't have to run full speed. When you run full speed to the football, good things tend to happen, even if you're not doing the right thing. So that's the big problem with Arkansas's defense is effort. So we need to see, like, if you're watching on TV, you should be seeing white jerseys just fill the screen, gang tackling. So that's going to be a big part of it for Arkansas. And, offensively for the Hogs, with Bobby Petrino, we've seen this offense do pretty impressive things. There was a time when people were talking about Taylor Green being a Heisman Trophy candidate. If Arkansas was on a better, if Arkansas had a better team. So they need to rekindle that. Arkansas has also really struggled in the third and fourth quarter of games, not running the ball very well at all in the third quarter. Obviously, the way this season went, this is a team that's capable of going on the road to Oxford, the number 4 ranked team in the country, and playing them to within a score. And if you go back and look at Arkansas's history since 2022, a year ago today, 2022, every single road game that Arkansas has played, they have either won or played to within a touchdown. Every single one. So it's interesting, to see if Arkansas can kind of keep that vibe under Petrino, taking things on the road, playing almost well enough to win, and see if they can, possibly overcome that as well. But Arkansas has to be better on offense in the second half, and I think a lot of that is with the defense not playing well. You don't feel like you have any support. It's all connective tissue. So Arkansas defense, get some stops here and there, put a little bit of inspiration in the offense, and maybe we'll see a game on Saturday.
Yeah, that Arkansas defense ranking last in the SEC in scoring defense, total defense, and third down defense. Tennessee, meanwhile, has scored at least 40 points in every single game this year. I think that when you look at this on both sides, there's so many different storylines and reasons for why this side really needs a win. But Trey, I'll ask you this first. What is the importance here to get a win when you look at it?
Well, I think rekindling some fire in this fan base. Obviously, there's a lot of intrigue right now with Bobby Petrino back at the helm. There's a lot of member berries with fans about remember when and when Bobby did this. I got a little bit of that on Monday when he walked in for the press conference. Noon press conference, walked through the door at 11:59, just like he always did back in the day. Very, a high attention to detail with Bobby Petrino, just obsessive about stuff. So I think there's a big faction of this fan base that wants to see him succeed. And it starts with a really brutal slate going at number 12 Tennessee, the next game at home against number 5 Texas A&M. You guys have seen the schedule. There's a lot of discussion. What does Bobby Petrino have to do with this team to secure the job? And again, we have seen them play pretty well this season. Going to Oxford and playing them the way they did. If Arkansas doesn't fumble in the red zone with under 2 minutes to go, they probably end up winning that game. Same thing happened against Memphis. And then it just took a couple of things for them to completely let go of the rope. And you wonder what would have happened if they hadn't have fumbled that ball, starting with the Ole Miss game. So to me, there is some intrigue because Arkansas has played well in the past, and we know that Bobby Petrino has had a lot of success as the Arkansas coach, and I think for him personally, he feels like he owes something to the state. But I think most importantly also, he probably feels like he owes something to himself. And so we'll see how that marries all together with these players, if it resonates with them, if it resonates with the players on defense. So that's probably a big part of this game for Arkansas fans to see if this season could be salvaged as far as an entertainment standpoint.
For Tennessee, it's all about the rest of the season, and you can go back to this game last season. Tennessee had an open date after starting really fast in September, went to Arkansas and lost. They had to kind of recoup that loss down the road, and then they beat Alabama a couple weeks later to sort of get their college football playoff bid back on track and ended up making the 12-team field. Fast forward to this season, Tennessee let one get away against Georgia. They were probably maybe a little bit fortunate in some scenarios to get out of Mississippi State with an overtime win, but they go into October now with everything still in front of them in terms of the SEC and the college football playoff, and this is a game where Tennessee can't afford to slip up. They've still got to go to Alabama next week. They've still got to go to Florida in November. They get Oklahoma and Vanderbilt at home. Those are all ranked teams that have played pretty well to this point of the season. So this is a game where you're favored by a couple touchdowns. You're at home where you've played really well. You should have revenge on your mind after what happened last season. Arkansas shouldn't sneak up on you or surprise you with anything. And as a player and coaches, you should have pride to go out there and sort of avenge what happened last season when you played poorly and lost a game you probably shouldn't have lost. So this is a game where Tennessee can't afford to lose. They need to come out and play better than they did coming off the open date in this game last season, and probably give their fans a easier game. They've played 2 overtime games in the last 3 weeks, and Tennessee needs to maybe have an easier one, but easier said than done. But for the Vols, they can't afford to slip up here if they want to be a factor in the SEC race and get back to the college football playoff this season.
So, Patrick, we need to get it done right now and ask you the all-important question to both of you, and I'll go with you first, Patrick. Who wins on Saturday, and maybe what's the score as well?
I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think playing at home, or they've been really good under Josh Heupel. Certainly, they lost their last SEC home game a few weeks ago to Georgia, but they've been very good against everyone except Georgia in that stadium. And with the revenge factor and having an extra week to prepare, I think Tennessee should be able to handle their business in this game. We've talked about sort of the matchup between the Tennessee offense and the Arkansas defense. Arkansas's defense has played some really good offenses, and they're going to get another good one in this one with the way Tennessee is playing. To me, though, how close this game is will be determined by Tennessee's defense. And Taylor Green, the quarterback that Arkansas has, one of Tennessee's assistant coaches this week compared him to Vince Young or Michael Vick with how he's able to just be a game breaker and run around and make so many plays. A lot of his players probably might go more Lamar Jackson. I don't know if those maybe references outdate some of the guys that are on the team right now, but he's a guy that would scare me if I'm a defense and a defensive coordinator, because he can, no matter what play you have called or what play Arkansas calls, he can take off and house one from a long way away. But I do think Tennessee will get enough stops on defense to get some separation, and I'd probably lean with like a 45-28 score at this point.
Patrick makes a really good point about Taylor Green. He has a really long strider, and people take terrible angles on him. He's fast. He's got a really nice arm. He does tend to hit a lull in the middle of games for like 5 to 7 plays where it's just like, what are you doing, Taylor? And it seems to happen in just about every game. So I mentioned earlier, you look back at Arkansas under Sam Pittman since the middle of 2022, winning every road game they played or playing to within a touchdown. Obviously, a lot is shaken up. Anybody who thinks that they know how Arkansas is going to perform in this one is just guessing. And somebody will be right, but they'll be lucky. I think it could probably end up being a funny number. I hate when people pick, that second column other than 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, common numbers we see. So I'll go something like 42-26 Tennessee in this one. But who knows what to expect? Who knows how this defense will respond after 3 firings on the defensive side of the ball, or Sam Pittman being let go? Who knows how they'll respond to that in such a short turnaround? It is beneficial that Arkansas has a bye week, but Tennessee also has one. The difference is Tennessee maybe doesn't know exactly what they're preparing for on defense. So I'll go 42-26 Tennessee, but I think it could be an entertaining game, at least from the start.
Entertaining, at least with some good offense. Predicting both guys saying over 40 for Tennessee once again, who has won 22 straight home games against unranked opponents. That's the 4th longest active streak in FBS. Trey, Biddy, Patrick Brown, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it as we get set for Saturday afternoon. And also Saturday afternoon on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus is a very big time game. Number 7 Indiana at 3rd ranked Oregon. That's Saturday 3:30. You know the spot to go watch that Big Ten action.